Would everyone please stand?
So shushu sitimela samalahle yashosholo singole masondo ibuye eMzantsi Afrika igudla izintaba igudla amawa iphetha bomhlophe nabamnyama iyapheka iyajulula uyathela wena sulapho lilizela mlilizeli lilizela ngani Afrika yashosholoza ikole masondo yashosholoza ikole Afrika yashosholoza isitimela samalahle shosholoza
Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we gather to share our grief, to mourn our loss, and to celebrate and remember with love the life of Craig Paul Stevens. Every day our lives are full of all the emotions: love, joy, happiness, sadness, suffering and grief. Today, though, we are all gathered here because of a huge loss and grief that is so incredibly hard to bear, to endure the enormity of it and go on. In the midst of brokenness and brokenheartedness, may you all know the joy of the love that is here and will sustain you, love that will endure beyond death. May there be in time peace and healing for you all. May you each somehow find the courage to continue in the face of the loss of Craig's presence and find your own healing by living each day to the best of your ability, as he would most certainly have wanted you to do. As has been written, the heart that breaks open can contain the whole world. Trust in the knowledge that your own heart is large enough. However, before we begin our ceremony today, there are a few messages and details for you all. Firstly, if anyone has a cell phone on them, would you please ensure it is off or on silent? Craig's service today will be a simple, heartfelt, warm ceremony, an honouring of his life. When it concludes, he'll be carried from here to the awaiting fire truck. This will be when we can all stand in silence, paying our last respects as he is driven from here. You're then invited to remain together here where refreshments will be served. Craig's immediate family will accompany him as he leaves here and stop for a few precious moments when they can say their own personal farewells to him. So please, if you don't need to, please don't leave here for at least 20 minutes, giving them some privacy when they stop along the road. Instead, stay here and watch a photographic tribute to Craig and enjoy refreshments while we await their return. They are deeply appreciative that you're here today, with them feeling your continued support and love is a blessing at this time of loss. Also, there is a QR code on your service sheets, which will access you to Craig's tribute page where you can leave a message. These thoughts and memories will then be collated into a book for his wife and sons. I'd also like to say here that when Lucy and Craig married, he chose a track called Shosholosa, a Soweto workers' dance to be played at their wedding. That was the music we've just been listening to as Craig arrived. So welcome, everyone. Not just those of you present here in person, but also all those many people from all over the world who cannot be here but are watching right now on live stream. We gather here physically and virtually at the funeral ceremony for Craig Stevens in loving support of each other, and in particular Lucy, Kauri, Ty, Marianne and the extended Davis family. This is a time of immense pain and disorientation for them on virtually every level. In many ways, it's possible that Craig's death is not even fully sunk in for them and they are numbed and detached from reality because of it. That is why we are gathered around them, straining to support them with our love to the best of our ability. You all, though, need some understanding of your own loss. And we need some hope that Craig's memory will stay with us all with happiness and joy, beyond his so very tragic death that threatens to haunt those closest to him for the rest of their lives. We need to help them and each other as best as we can. We need to tell them and each other that we remember Craig as the vibrant, daredevil, dervish of energy that we knew him to be. We tell ourselves and we tell his family that our strongest memories are those of a man who embraced life with open arms, an outdoor and an out there man who lit up every room he entered, a man with a huge heart and a social conscience who died doing good for others. We need to remind ourselves that this social and colourful character will always have a place in our hearts and in our minds. Everyone has friends, and friendship is something we often take for granted. Many of those we call friends are really not much more than acquaintances. However, true friendship is a rarity that should be honoured and never taken for granted. So what is a true friend? A true friend is a person on whom you can confidently rely to help pull you through the hard times and hold you accountable for your actions. A true friend is loyal and will pass all tests of time in times of need. A true friend will not judge you for who you are and will help you grow in life. We may forget who won the last Olympic gold medal, who holds the record for the fastest swim or run, but we never forget a true friend. That person who made an indelible mark on our lives. A friend is someone who makes us feel welcome, greets us with a smile and is always genuinely interested. Someone who will put their own feelings on hold to ensure that you feel important in his or her presence, no matter what. Friends are sorely missed, but never forgotten. Craig was such a friend to so many people, including his family. So remember, it was not the body you loved, but the unique and special spirit that dwelt within. That spirit is still with you. The spirit is eternal. It does not die. So go on seeing Craig walk beside you as he did before, safe in the love you always knew, because life isn't measured by the years that we live, but by the deeds that we do and the joy that we give. Each day as it comes gives each one of us the chance to love to the fullest, leaving nothing undone that will brighten the life or load of some weary traveller. So remember Craig, the living and energetic person, and not focus on the duration of his life. Now, as most of you know, Craig was born in South Africa, but moved with his parents to the UK. Thus it was in 2005, Craig walked into a cocktail bar in Bristol with his mate, Pete Marcel, aka Marlborough Pete. Craig, a blur of colour and sound. His outrageous debut into those premises meant he met the barmaid, who after recovering from this initial meeting became very good friends with them. Her name was and is Bella Davis. This then led to Craig meeting the Davis family, in particular Bella's sister Lucy. So when Lucy returns, I'm going to invite her to come forward, and then Bella herself too will speak. When you're ready, Lucy. Lucy? She's gone that way. She has vanished. Lucy's sorting out one of her boys.
So I just want to say a massive heartfelt thank you for all the incredible support we have received over the past couple of weeks. We've been blown away by the outpouring of love and practical help we've been given in an impossible situation. This is a testament both to Craig, but also the strength of our beautiful Muriwai family and community, which is going through unthinkable pain at the moment. Craig, you exploded into my life 17 years ago. The BMXer wearing girls' skinny jeans, a tank top and sweatband. I instantly knew you were something special. You had this incredible energy and life was one big adventure with you.
Yeah.
You definitely kept me on my toes, and patching you up from your biking injuries was a regular occurrence. We got engaged in beautiful South Africa, where Craig was born.
Yeah.
In typical Craig style, the engagement was a story in itself. Nothing was ever boring and ordinary with you.
Yeah.
It took 3 days to finally pop the question. On the first day, we drove 4 hours up to a game reserve. It was hot and sweaty, and Craig was trying to get me out of the car. But I told him I didn't want to get eaten by lions, so against my wishes, as we hadn't seen any elephants, we drove the 4 hours back to where we were staying. I was not happy. On the second day, Craig suggested having a romantic picnic on the beach. That failed too, as a dead body had washed up on the beach. On the third day, we were supposed to go skydiving, but the weather was too bad. We ended up going for a walk in the beautiful Drakensberg Mountains. Craig got down on one knee and mumbled something about my dad, then asked me to marry him. I was so shocked that my initial response was, I don't know, but luckily I saw sense and said yes. We went travelling on our honeymoon and had the most incredible 5 months together exploring Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, Borneo and Indo. We arrived in New Zealand on a working holiday visa, and when we moved to Muriwai, it was like coming home for both of us. We felt like we were on a continuous holiday and could not believe this was our home. We had our 2 beautiful boys and couldn't think of a better place than Muriwai for them to grow up, surrounded by beauty and love. Our days were filled with surfing, biking, beaching, barbecues, and exploring with the amazing friends and families we've met. In August last year, we bought our dream house. We would often stand on a deck looking out at the sea, the beautiful sunsets and the night sky, talking about how we couldn't believe we were actually living our dream. Craig, you always fully embraced and lived life. You would get an idea in your head and just do it. When Goldie was born, you decided it would be the perfect time to do a marketing diploma. Sleepless nights did not need to get in the way of that. You would announce in the morning that you wanted to build a cabinet for the living room, and by the time I came home, it was already finished. You decided that you wanted to make a movie about your life in BMX. You flew Ryan over from the States to complete your project before telling me what was happening or what it was going to cost. We were trying to save to buy a house at the time, so you definitely had some resistance from me, but now it is the most precious thing in the world to me. I was so proud when you joined the fire service. You're the ultimate adrenaline junkie, and you loved running out the door when the siren went off. The first time you had a call out, you nearly burnt our own house down as I came home to the front door left wide open with the kettle boiling on the stove. You were in your element, and you were the boys' ultimate hero. They loved coming to visit the fire station when you were doing your duties, sitting in the fire engines and riding around the cones that you would set up for them. We definitely have 2 future firemen in the family. You were always so special to me, but I've been blown away by the stories of how you've touched so many other lives. The gap you are leaving in our lives is incomprehensible. You were the most incredible dad and husband, and we felt so loved. You never took me for granted, were my biggest cheerleader in life, and would always tell me every day how beautiful I was. Life will never be the same without you by our sides, but your spirit will always be with us and in the boys. Love you, Craig. Craigie, my brother of 18 years, you've been a right pain in the ass. And I can't believe you've gone and left us all. You went out in the most heroic way, sacrificing your life to save others during the cyclone. We are all so proud of you and heartbroken you've gone. My first memory of you was strutting into the Blue Monkey, a cocktail bar in Bristol with Pete, wearing your tight purple jeans, a cut-off tee and a bandana. A look that Luce was rather taken with. Your outfit choices certainly didn't improve over the years. May we all be as bold with our climbing choices as you, Craigie. Bristol, known for its cider, music and street art. There was never a dance floor that we didn't frequent or a skate park that you hadn't ridden. And as for street art, Craigie once told me that he knew who Banksy was. Well, we'll never know if this is just one of his famous yarns. The stories that Craig would tell over a cider, our other place of work, the Apple, an old Dutch cider barge, were always colourful. As you can imagine, not a lot of study was done in my first years of uni. You turned from my party pal into my brother-in-law, having seen a picture of Luce on my wall and asking who it was. You then secretly took the picture without me knowing, as you knew that Luce was your person. Having my best friend and sister get together was something pretty special, and I couldn't help but later follow you both out to New Zealand. You have been the best dad to Cody and Ty, and even though you've gone, all of us will do our very best to keep your memory alive for them. They are mini versions of you through and through. From the daring manoeuvres on their bikes to throwing some shapes on the dance floor, your spirit certainly lives within them. Thank you to everyone who has made the last couple of weeks a little easier for Luce, Marianne, the boys, and me. It's been an incredibly tough time, but having friends, family, and strangers coming to support us has made it a little easier. We've been truly blown away by the outpouring of love from family and friends, the community, and New Zealand, and we are so grateful to all of you for the ways that you have and continue to support us. It's become very apparent that many went far beyond the call of duty that night and acted heroically in appalling conditions for their teammates and friends. So we'd like to personally thank Jordan, the Muriwai Volunteer Fire Service, and Josh for remaining by Craig's side. All the specialist search and rescue teams who came out to rescue him, the emergency and medical staff that gave exceptional care not only to Craig but us too, to Scott and Mel from Fens, who have been with us every step of the way, to Gary and Sue for opening your arms to us and making the most beautiful resting place for Craig, and last but not least, to the Muriwai community. You're a special one. Craig has inspired so many of us to take on life's challenges, to never give up and to live life to the full. And this is what I will carry with me when taking on the next challenge in life. I would like to finish on this poem. I'm learning to ride a bike, and I'm learning to fly on my own. I'm learning to sing, not to cry when I fall. I'm learning not to give up as I ride through life. And I'm learning to try again to get back on my bike. Rest in peace, Craigie.
It was in 2014, Craig and Lucy emigrated here to New Zealand, living first in the Purple Palace in Grey Lynn. After a year there, they made the move to Muriwai, a move they never regretted, quickly becoming part of the community here. So for Craig, it was a 100% natural decision a couple of years later to join the Volunteer Fire Brigade with friend Dan Wairipu, a man whose own wife calls Craig's his second wife. I would therefore like to ask Phelan Piri, Chief Fire Officer of the Muriwai Volunteer Fire Brigade, who was on duty that fateful night, to talk to us now, and then Dan will come forward and share some of his memories with us.
From the moment Craig joined the brigade in 2018, he has thrown himself into being a core member of our crew. Firefighters talk about running into a situation everyone else is running away from. That attitude is what Craig embodied, putting the community we protect first. Craig was one of those volunteer firefighters who's first in and last out, grabbing every opportunity to learn more and taking on extra duties like organising a biking event to help us fundraise or getting gear sorted out after a long deployment fire. A natural storyteller and firefighter with a unique mix of that slightly dark South African and English humour that helps us get through some difficult incidents or entertained us while we were having a beer after training. Craig wasn't just volunteering as a firefighter. He had recently joined the Maori Bay Board Riders Committee and had designed a new skate facility that will be going into the village green this year. On the day of the cyclone, Craig had helped extinguish a house fire, turned up to a pretty brutal breathing apparatus training session David organised for us that night, and was straight onto the truck when the cyclone hit. Craig, you fought right through to the end, and it's not going to be the same with you gone. Thanks for your dedication and commitment, and most of all, on behalf of the brigade, community and family, thank you for selflessly doing what volunteers, firefighters everywhere do, heading towards danger to help people in need.
Ka tangi te titi, ka tangi te kaka, ka tangi hoki ahau, tihei mori ora, tēnā rā kātou katoa. The titi bird cries, the kaka bird cries. I also cry. Greetings to you all. Well, I never expected to be standing here today to say goodbye to my mate Craig. I have known Craig for about 6 years since moving to Muriwai back in 2017, but we quickly became the best of friends and spent heaps of time together. With my wife often joking, "Are you going off to hang with your wife then?" I first met Craig when we were invited to a party on Domain Crescent. I saw this fella covered in all these crazy tattoos, quietly playing on his guitar. My first impression of Craig was that he was a quiet guy, but very welcoming. Well, that's not the Craig I know now. I came to learn Craig was a little bit crazy, with a strong opinion on things and didn't mind letting you know. As we would fondly say, a bit of a dick sometimes, and laugh. Craig just had that confident charisma to get away with it. Craig was always keen to get into it, whether it was dropping into a crazy closeout and breaking his brand new surfboards multiple times, I believe, throwing himself as fast as possible on his mountain bike, or throwing himself into the air on his beloved BMX. He was always putting his body on the line to achieve his goals. I would grimace sometimes when we would see Lucy with that quiet fury in her eyes when Craig would come home with a new injury. Craig was a busy guy, constantly driving or flying around the country for work, but he would always make time if he ever needed a hand with anything at all. In 2018, Craig and I were chatting about how we could get more involved in the Muriwai community. The fire service was advertising for new recruits, and we saw the flyer. We looked at each other. I said to him, "Bro, you keen?" Gave me the, "Yep." So I said, "Sweet, bro, that's us." As usual, Craig threw himself into it with gusto, always keen to be first to try anything new. When it came time for us to get our firefighter stripes, the other brigade members were filling us with dread with stories of the hangi hole, which is the last obstacle for the firefighter training. The day finally arrived. After a week of training, throwing out hoses, climbing up ladders, and going through heated rooms in our BA kits, it was time for the live fire exercises and the dreaded hangi hole. We looked up together and saw the funnel in the sky with the smoke pouring out of it, and we could feel the heat coming off the room. We had to go down the hangi hole to put out the fire and get out. As usual, Craig went straight away, "Yep, I'll be in the first group." I just looked at him and smiled. He came out on the verge of collapse, covered in sweat and soot, but with the biggest smile because he knew he had just passed the final challenge to become a firefighter. As we know, Craig loved being part of the fire service and was serving his community to the end, always putting his body on the line. But this time, he didn't come back smiling. But wherever he is, I know he is smiling down until we meet again. Lucy, I want you to know we'll always be here for you, and the boys and Marianne. Cody, your dad was the most amazing man. He was so proud, and he gave you a very strong name. As you can see from everyone here, he was so loved and will be missed. Your dad is a hero. Tybia, I always draw strength and courage from remembering how you were when we sat with your dad in those final moments, when you led our song, "Rain, Rain, Go Away, Come Again Another Day." Craig was always talking about getting involved with the Thursday night open mic night, and he was always talking to me about it. We didn't quite get there, but I'll give it a go. Here we go. This is for the family and for Muriwai. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. I'm saying don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is gonna be alright. I rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds, each by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody pure and true, saying, "This is my message for you." I'm saying don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I'm singing don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. A piti honu tātou hono, te hangi mata, ki te hangi mata, a piti hono tātou hono, te hanga oro, ki te hanga oro. The lines are joined, those who have passed away to remain with those who passed away. The lines are joined, the living to remain with the living. Huri nui I tēnei whare, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you.
We're now going to listen as a group of local musicians play the song which Craig wrote for his movie, which is entitled Dad, a song in which they collaborated with him. And then later in our ceremony, we will actually watch that video. As you all know, there are many people who cannot be here today for a variety of reasons, but mostly because of geography. One such is close and dear friend Clive Lees, who's in South Africa, but has sent a video tribute, which we will watch now.
The last 2 weeks have been a bitter pill to swallow with friends and family of our dear Craig facing a future we never conceived of. There has been an outpouring of emotion from around the world as we try to come to terms with his heroic passing. During this time, I was challenged by what it was I and others will truly miss, and I noticed the number of "I did this for the first time" with Craig's stories coming out, and it got me thinking that I too have volumes of tales where Craig was pivotal in their telling. Craig, as you know, was a lover of grand tales of adventure and loved some exaggeration to spice things up. A great sense of humor and a huge heart, happiest when those he loved around him were happy too. But I feel that these are all secondary traits. His one true ability was his incredible belief in himself, the attitude that he could do anything, achieve anything, and overcome anything in his path. If you were lucky enough to have spent some time with him on a bicycle, I'm sure you would have your fair share of heart-stopping moments as he defied mortal physics and touched the sky, his blue eyes locked on, tongue between his lips, and pedaling like crazy. It was this energy that was so intoxicating to others. He had a way of creating those first time I did this moments where we chose to take the chance despite the risk. Just being around him as we adventured was enough to rouse a fire within me that I battled to contain, leading me into some of the wildest moments of my life, taking chances on BMXs, hurtling down Rotorua, getting caught in a rip at Mshlodi Beach on a surfboard I have no business being on. After we forged our friendship in Bristol, we parted physical company, but were able to stay in close contact, allowing for 15 years of intercontinental one-upmanship as we became the men we are today. During these early periods, Craig married his dear Lucy, and they found themselves on a round-the-world honeymoon, which ended in them living the dream in New Zealand, which totally erased my Southern Hemisphere advantage. This is where our golden friend would truly shine, reigniting his passion for the sea and surfing from his childhood in Durban. He was so happy. He had his first son, Kauri, and his passion and love of adventure was further fueled, making him a great, great dad. Driven as always, Craig studied further and grew himself in his career in New Zealand. He would often end our conversations with a photograph of his view of Muriwai to make sure I knew he was on top at all times. One day he announced to me that he'd be training as a volunteer fireman. I was so immensely proud of him. It was really perfect for him to channel his boundless energy into the community around him. A natural leader, you could count on him being the first out of the gate and giving his all for the good of the community. It wasn't all roses, though, as I was now faced with having to become a fireman or paramedic, should I ever make it to New Zealand on a permanent basis. I was enthralled by his final testing, where he described all the rigors of the trials he underwent, having to switch between tasks and roles to support the team on high-pressure environment where he would naturally thrive. I joked with him that it all seemed a bit easy, as they at no point had made him browse the internet on a slow laptop with bad internet connection, for Craig's one true kryptonite was non-responsive electronics. A few years later, I was lucky enough to spend an afternoon keeping Kauri busy while Craig checked the equipment in the firehouse. What a man he had become, years away from the glam rock wild child I met in his early 20s. Craig continued from strength to strength, becoming a father for the second time, the beautiful Ty joining us on the adventure, the family Stevens becoming homeowners and creating a space for grandparents to visit and bask in the welcoming sun, spending time with grandkids, was a combination of Craig and Lucy's hard work and their combined belief in themselves. They were magnificent together. I often found myself daydreaming about the future visits and where next we would ride, slide, jump, splash, and crash, and genuinely love the world around us. Probably the coolest old guys you'd ever meet. Now things are so foreign, my messages unanswered, a present unimagined, and a future unknown. Craig has left us probably in the most Craig way possible, and it scares me so, but I know what must be done. My heart is with the combined family Stevens and Davis. We love you all so much and will do anything for you and Craig. Finally, as we face the coming challenges and choices, I ask for you to look inwards to that Craig-shaped fire inside of you. When you are afraid, remember, what would Craig do? His blue eyes locked on the destination, tongue clamped between his lips, his strange socks pulled high, tight in that weird Kiwi fishing hat, and you pedal like crazy at it. Anyway, Craig, I'm going to miss you so much. Thank you for everything, and thank you for the continued inspiration. You are a true hero, and you live within us forever, dude. I'm going to miss you so much.
Present here today is Pete Marcel, who I mentioned earlier on. Pete is an old and treasured friend and was in fact Craig's best man at his marriage ceremony to Lucy. He's travelled here from the UK to say his farewells in person and will now talk to us about times he has shared with Craig over the years.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not much for speeches, so all I can say is my deepest heartfelt sympathies to the Stevens and Davis families for their loss and to the families affected by the tragedy here in Muriwai. My utmost respect for the bravery and focus of what they must now go through. Bravery and focus. Not easy words or actions to put together when the time comes. But for someone like Craig, there was never any separation, and that's why he could always do what he had to do at any given notice. He selfishly directed all his thoughts and intent to his family, friends, and those in trouble. All I can now say is what I know that everyone here feels. We thank you for everything, Craig, your effect on the world, a world that was so lucky to have known you, and we'll never forget your presence, a presence impossible to ignore. Thank you, my brother.
Our last speaker today is Andrea Donato, who is Craig's oldest New Zealand friend and chosen brother. The Donato and Stevens families sharing many wonderful events together.
Hi, Craig. I actually decided to write you a letter last night because I don't know my emotions today, so I decided to read it to you. Hey, Craig. Here I am, mate, talking to you once again with my strong Italian accent that you like so much and makes you smile every time. I'm sure you're listening to me as I can hear you laughing out loud. We met each other in this magnificent place, Muriwai. We met when our lives were blessed by the birth of our beautiful children, Bianca and Cody. When we both realized all of a sudden that we had to find grown-up jobs and become responsible persons. Well, I stopped climbing buildings for a living and I got a semi-office job. Of course, you didn't stop riding bikes, and I'm glad for that. But you created a job around your passion. You could make money charging down bike tracks with clients. You're such a clever dude, mate. Coming from overseas, neither of us had our families around when we arrived in New Zealand. But we found a loving community and lots of great friends here in Muriwai. They are all standing here for you, Craig. We met by becoming dads at the same time, and our friendship quickly grew to be mainly based on taking the piss out of each other. My first impression of you was, ooh, he used to be out there. Before long, I learned you were also a great father and husband, always caring for your family and those around you. Surfing is what really brought us together, and we shared many magic moments in the ocean. Late mornings, lunch breaks, after work sessions, lots of sunset in the water together, but not many donies though. As we all know, you like to sleep in the morning. You know, I'm up at 5 every morning, so typically I would text you the night before saying 6 a.m. at the bay. You would reply with a thumbs up emoji. Well, that thumbs up basically had 3 meanings. First meaning, I'll text you in the morning, usually it's after 6, and let you know that I'm not coming out. The second meaning is, I'll see you at the bay, but I'll be grumpy because it's too early for me, and I'll probably ruin your peaceful morning moment. The third meaning, I'll see you at the bay. I watch the wave for 5 minutes, then I go back to sleep. I remember recently we went out surfing at the tower. It was like 4 to 5 foot swell with good period. Well, you show up at the car park in your brand new truck with Lucy's board, 7 foot plus, big thing. Probably thinking it was one of those small days at the beach. I had my brand new board to try that day. We looked at the surf. He said, "Oh, I thought it was smaller. I should have bought my other board." It was too late, mate. Too late. Well, we paddle out, get to the back. I catch the first wave. So as I'm paddling out, back out towards you, a set comes through. You start paddling on it, and we look at each other's eyes, and in that very moment, we both knew that something bad was going to happen. I screamed, "No!" You drop straight down, face first, board snaps in half. The front half of the board, Lucy's board, flies in the air and lands, guess where? Right on the nose of my brand new board. Classic. So my board is badly damaged. Lucy now has 2 boards instead of 1. Yeah, but the best is yet to come. So we paddled back while he swam back, but yeah, because she didn't have a board. Walked to the cars. I grabbed my other board and go back in the water. I was a bit pissed off, so that was a good call. You don't have another board, of course. Now, this is the good part. I wasn't there, but basically this is what happened. You hid your car keys so well somewhere in the rear bumper that you could not retrieve them. So you had to walk back home and tell Lucy you snapped her board and lost the car keys. Lucy was impressed with that. So, well, we named this the Walk of Shame. We also had a sort of headache competition going between us. You would call me on my phone, and Gloria, my wife, would answer. Andrea's in bed with headache. You two would start giving me flack for days, as my tension headaches are quite well known. But here is my revenge, mate. The following week, I text you. Bass pumping, brah. No reply. Try to call you. No answer. Next day, a text from you. Yo, bro, migraine all day yesterday. How was the surf? And inside me, I was like, yeah, that's my revenge. I went through the photo library on my phone the other day, trying to find some good pictures of you or us. Other than a few cool shots of your silly poses, what I found were photos of your swollen face, a broken finger, a couple of black eyes, and a part of your body that I hope is your ankle. And on that note, Lucy and I were talking about that day you flew back from Queenstown after you crashed during the bike event. That was a pretty bad crash, mate. Anyway, we came to pick you up at the airport, and you rang and said, I'm at the entrance of car park P. Very, very clear directions. Well, Lucy and I went everywhere trying to find this car park P. We even did a Google search to be sure. Well, car park P does not exist in Auckland Airport. We rang you back and you got so shitty at us, of course, as usual, saying, I'm standing here, right here, next to the sign. Let's be polite. We look around, and there you were, next to the parking sign. It's P for parking, not car park P. So Lucy and I looked at each other and said, oh, this time is serious. Craig, my love goes to your mum, Marianne. You are an extraordinary woman, and you're doing a fantastic job with the boys and Lucy. Your strength and resilience are incredible, and you are a role model for us. Thank you. Craig, you will be missed by all of us, your family, us surf dads, the girls, the board riders, your BMX and mountain bike mate, your music gurus, your fellow firefighters, the whole Muriwai community, and many others. Your powerful soul will be always with us. Now, ride free the waves or clouds in the sky and find your peace up there. We'll be here for your family, always. We won't let you down, my friend. I love you, Craig.
As many here know, it was about 2 years ago Craig, with the assistance from Ryan Sherman and several others, put together that movie outlining his interesting life, which we will watch now. Craig narrates this, and I'm sure you will agree with me that it is only right that he should have the final word.
My name's Craig Stevens, I'm 37 years old, and we are in Muriwai Beach in West Auckland, New Zealand, and it's 2020, year of the rat. I grew up in South Africa, born in Durban and Natal. When I was 15, we moved to Bristol, England. My dad was from Bristol. So, had some hard times in South Africa, lots of changes happened, and we ended up having to move back to the UK. I was pretty disappointed. Wasn't stoked at all. We grew up in a place like this, like Muriwai, a place called Mshloti Beach, or Mount Moreland is where we grew up. So surfing and the beach was my whole life, and we lived in a very isolated place out on the sticks, and we got robbed a few times. It started getting a bit more hectic there. And I feel like the last straw for my family from a safety perspective is we had a very big house where we were. I think it was 7 bedrooms, and my mum also had a business. She made all the gas station sandwiches for all the Shell garages across the country. So we had a huge industrial kitchen and And we woke up one morning and the whole house had been cleaned out. So there must have been maybe 9 or 10 people walking around our house. Everything was gone, all the industrial machinery. The side part of the kitchen, they'd ripped the doors off by chaining it to a truck. And if I or my parents had gotten up to go to the toilet or something, that would have been it, dead, would have been goners. And it happened to a few people in the community, you know. We were lucky that we had that opportunity to try and go start a new life in the UK, and that's what my parents did. One night we were watching Eurosport and X Games 98 was on telly, and I saw Jay Miron do a 360 tail whip in full body armour, full face, on his red blinged out Schwinn. I just thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and I was like, I want a piece of that. So I begged my folks for a BMX, got me a Dyno Zone, a chrome one, met a couple cool guys, and we started going to the local skate park in Bristol, which was Skate and Ride. And then when I was 16, just after I finished school, moved into a caravan outside the front of Skate and Ride. And there was a whole little crew of us that all rode there and had a Mexican bar, gig venue out the back. Lots of wild stuff went on there and just rode every day. And then the main outdoor park we would ride would be Dean Lane Skate Park. Obviously, the DLH was a big skate crew that was there, but there'd be a little BMX crew of us. We'd go ride there all the time, and everyone would hang out together and party together, and big music scene, big art scene. Obviously, back then, BMX was about, everyone had a lot in common with the DIY sort of attitude that came with it, and everyone was into the same thing, and we're all outcasts that found a common ground, essentially. And that skate park was such a hub for all of that. So just to give it a bit of a backstory, lived in Bristol from about 16 to 26. In that time, I started riding kind of full time, and I was traveling a lot and spent most of my time between Florida and Germany. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. I had sponsors, Country Bikes, a guy called Torsten Pullich, did more than anyone knows for me, and then obviously Profile out in Florida, Matt Coplin at the helm of that. Spent all that time and then had a couple years of just lots of injuries and had lots of shoulder problems and knee problems, snapped ligaments, had to have my shoulder rebuilt. And then by the time I came back from all of that, my then girlfriend and I got married, and for our honeymoon we booked a round the world ticket. So we spent 5-6 months going through Asia, and on that trip I started surfing again and just rekindled that love for the ocean, and it was amazing. And then we stayed in homestays throughout the whole trip, so went and lived with families, which I think is the best way to see a country, so you really get to embrace culture then. And I was a little bit tentative when we were planning the trip because I knew I wouldn't have my bike with me. I shipped my bike to New Zealand to meet us here when we got here, but every day was just amazing. We came to New Zealand just on a year's working holiday, and that's turned into 6 years now, and we have full residency and 2 Kiwi children. And yeah, like I was saying, those small little decisions you make can just change your life and put it in a completely different direction. But look where we get to live now, it's amazing. When we moved to New Zealand, because BMX is such a small community, I instantly had a circle of friends. First week we moved here, I had a text message from a local guy called Wasman, and the message just said, got your number from Butterworth, he said you're cool, come round to my house for a beer. And it was awesome, you know, I just had an instant circle of friends. They have P&P, those trails, obviously Alan, Nate and Caleb, been at the helm for those for the last few years, and they are like some of the best trails you'll ever see or ride. Hats off to those guys for what they've done, that place is crazy. And then also mountain biking, you know, we have some of the best mountain biking here in New Zealand, and I get to go do that and ride these beautiful mountains and forests. I probably love it more now than I did back then, because I'm so appreciative of being able to go out and ride. So those little snippets I get to go riding, I'll take full advantage of it and just enjoy it to the best of my ability. Being a dad has been, obviously, everyone always says, it's a massive learning experience. It'll test your relationship to no end as well, but it's been amazing. I have 2 boys, Cody and Ty, and those little guys fill me with pride every day. So the Cody tree is it's a native tree to New Zealand, some of the oldest trees in the world. You can go up and see the Tani Mahuta in the Cody forest, and that tree is 3,000 years old. And Tai is Māori for the tide. It also means the coast in Fiji. And we wanted to give them names that represented New Zealand, because obviously they're first generation Kiwis. And I wanted names they could be proud of, you know, that had some meaning and had some depth. My wife, she understands that I need these outlets. I need to go riding, I need to go surfing. It's my meditation. You can't just spend all your time with the kids, you'll go crazy. Crashing footage. Yeah, so crashing now, I mean, I don't crash that much anymore. Riding's generally pulled back quite a bit. But because we've been filming, I've been trying to get clips. There's been crashes every day. Obviously, I haven't filmed anything for around 12, 13 years, but it's way harder than it used to be. And just that sort of mental preparation that I used to have with if I was filming or at a comp, there wasn't any preparation. I was able to just put like aggression in the way just to get through stuff, you know? And now it's a lot more harder to do because you've got a lot more things on your mind. I've got kids to worry about. I've got a full-time job, family to support, bills to pay, all the rest of it. And all that stuff has been lingering in the back of my head when we've been trying to get clips and film bits and bobs. I mean, everything we've done hasn't been all that gnarly in the grand scheme of things, but it's still sitting there, you know, because it's a lot of stuff I don't really do all that on a regular basis.
As I dropped in, I thought I'm going to crash this flip.
I definitely feel broken after this stuff, but it's been cool, been enjoyable. I wanted to put out some more footage because I've never really filmed for anything. All the sections I had were just people who just sent clips in to sponsors who are making a video. I've never filmed a project, and it's something I've always really wanted to do, and it's something I just wanted to be able to show my kids what I did, because this doesn't go on forever, you know, and also just a love letter to BMX, you know. BMX, I feel, gave me everything. I feel indebted to it. All my friendships, my relationship with my wife, like down to my children, you know, down to my attitude and my outlook on life. So yeah, it was just a thank you to BMX.
Thank God that's over. I love the camera. Oh my God. That fucking thing. Ah, fucking hell. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, fuck. Ah, fucking shit. Ah, bollocks. Oh, bollocks. God. Fuck's sake. Oh, ah. Oh my God. 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 Oh, ho, ho. Fucking hell. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah, that move from South Africa to the UK, all that craziness, and Germany and the States, and to then meeting Luce, and then here with the family, it does go by in a blink of an eye. Just take each day as it comes, enjoy life, enjoy those small moments. This life is short.
And we're now going to listen as the band play a medley of some of Craig's very favourite songs.
keep me searching for a heart of gold, but I didn't know. I've been to Hollywood, I've been to Redwood, I've crossed the ocean for a heart of gold. I've been in my mind, it's such a fine line. Keep me searching for a heart of gold, but I didn't know. Keep me searching for a heart of gold, but I didn't know. Searching for a heart of gold. Keep me searching for a heart of gold. Just keep me searching for a heart of gold. I've been a miner for a heart of gold.
You all know it was during the terrible destruction and havoc caused by Cyclone Gabrielle, Craig, Dave, and many other volunteer firemen gave of their time and energy to help those in need in their community here. Sadly, both Craig and Dave were swept away on the 13th of February. Craig was rescued the next day and taken to Auckland Hospital, where he was admitted to the trauma ward where Lucy herself works. He was then transferred to Middlemore Hospital, where he spent the next 2 nights, at all times receiving wonderful and loving care from the medical fraternity in both hospitals. This support made this terrible process as easy as humanly possible for Lucy and her family. But Craig sadly never regained consciousness, passing away late afternoon, Thursday, 16 February. And now is the time when we must say our final goodbyes to the physical being that is Craig. Would everyone please stand as I say the final words of farewell? Craig Stevens, beloved husband of Lucy, proud and adoring father of Kauri and Tai, precious son of Marianne and the late Kelvin, treasured son-in-law of Martin and Juliet, and brother-in-law of Bella, Rebecca, Christian, and their families. Tenderly and reverently we now commit Craig's body to Mother Earth, from whence all life comes and to which all life returns. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Hereafter let us resolve that while we live we will strive with all our might to make our living of real worth. Then in the consciousness of work well done and a life well lived, death in the deepest sense can have no sting. We wish Craig peace. He has left this world too soon, but his spirit will live on in all of you who love him and appreciated the part he played in your lives. Let us be grateful for the life lived and all he has meant to you. He danced to the music and he paid the piper, and you have been the better for his blazing star passing your way. Craig, you blew into this community like a glorious and wonderful human whirlwind. You embraced it, and it embraced you. It took one of nature's strongest, most destructive whirlwinds to take you out of here. Your boundless energy we will see in the Muriwai waves. Your laughter we will hear on the winds. Your smile we will see in nature. Fly high, Craig. You will be missed. Amen.
Good on,